Welcome into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KCY Suddenlink Channel 112. We are live from Studio 318. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier. And on every Wednesday, the OSU insider Robert Allen. Robert is getting a little bit
to retire.
the more
I want to be outside all of a sudden.
It's getting to be a tough show that we're doing here, but we still have fun. It is not fun for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, but we have 3 segments to break down: offense, defense, and everything in between, especially Texas coming up. Homecoming, it's an exciting time. We try to make it as exciting as possible. But around the Big 12 is an interesting topic of discussion right now.
So we've lured ourselves to opening up with the Big 12.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I'm good. Let's do it.
That's where we're at in the middle of October.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately. But the Big 12 is interesting because I don't think, even if there was an undefeated team in the Big 12, I don't think they're going to get any respect. Joey Galloway's going to be spewing some SEC nonsense. You know, Herb Street's all in the Big 10 and the SEC.
You watch too much ESPN.
Yeah. I watch too much ESPN, but they don't get a ton of national respect. Neither does the Pac-12, and I don't know that they've earned it. But every team has one loss. Who is your favorite after Texas? They've strengthened themselves after week 1. OU dropped it to Texas, scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and West Virginia went into Ames, and Brock Purdy seems to be the real deal. Unfortunately, he started this great run with the Cowboys. But who is your favorite after 7 weeks in the Big 12?
You know what? I'm to 4 teams. In fact, it's funny. I don't know if you guys know Chip Brown, who's in Austin. Used to be with the Dallas Morning News and does radio in Austin. And to get to this show today, I was hauling it from Kingfisher. Johnson's a Kingfisher, free advertising, doing a radio show over there. And Chip wanted to bend my ear about the game coming up for homecoming with Texas coming to Stillwater next week. And so we were talking, and we kind of got into this conversation here, Big 12. I'm down to 4 teams, and one of them is not West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia, actually, what I saw in Ames last week, and this is not to devalue Iowa State, it's just I kind of think West Virginia is a little bit of a false prophet. And I think they showed it not against Iowa State first. They showed it when they mucked around with Kansas and turned the ball over 4 times. You can see the standings there. Texas on top, West Virginia have 1 loss. And actually, Texas, that 1 loss is Maryland. That is out of conference. They're unbeaten in the Big 12. Texas, obviously, they're unbeaten. They beat Oklahoma. You know, if you're going to be the champ, you got to beat the champ, and the champ's been Oklahoma. So you got to put Texas in your equation there. I still think they could end up getting beat, but I think they got a good chance to be in Arlington for the championship game. Oklahoma, obviously, I think they're still in the running. And then, guys, this might warm the cockles of the hearts of Oklahoma State fans a little bit, but it's 2 of the teams that beat Oklahoma State. I think Texas Tech and Iowa State are in the running. Now, do I think Texas Tech will be there? I give them an outside chance. They still have to play Texas. They still have to play Oklahoma. But the team, I think, if Brock Purdy's the real deal, as my man over here said, they've got a shot because they played OU tough, but they've already played OU. They've already played TCU, and they caught TCU before the Horned Frogs got totally stomped. And they're about to get finished up, I think, on Saturday with Oklahoma, and then they'll have 3 losses, and Gary Patterson may end up in being a big sweat ball, and you know, and it'll get crazy, I think, for TCU. But Iowa State, they've got Baylor, Kansas State on the schedule left. They have Texas, and they have Texas Tech. Well, the game with Texas Tech will kind of be the showdown of the upstarts. And if they win that and then they beat Texas, they'll have 2 losses, but I think it'll get them to Arlington, either against Oklahoma or Texas. The other option would be a rematch of the Red River rivalry. That's the most likely, but I think Iowa State's the team that could make this a little bit interesting. So...
Let me ask you both this question. If I told you could either have Oklahoma's chances to win the Big 12 or the field, which one are you taking?
Oklahoma.
You're taking Oklahoma?
I mean, what's the Big 12 Conference proven to me in the last 3 years otherwise? And the Cowboys had them 3 or 4 times in the past 6 or 7 years to win a Big 12 title. They couldn't get it done. I mean, I know that they lost by Texas, but they put up 21 points. I know that they beat Texas, but as I'll just say it now, it's kind of off topic, but Oklahoma State's lost 3 games. I think that they're a better coaching staff and a better team than all 3 of those teams. They just haven't got the job done. I totally believe that. Oklahoma is the best team in the Big 12 Conference. I totally believe that. And if they get another chance at Tom Herman in the Big 12 championship game, I feel sorry for what Kyler Murray will do to the Longhorns, because look what he did in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
I'm taking OU all day.
All right, I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
Regular season or who's standing on top of the podium in Arlington after the championship game?
Who's standing on top at the podium?
After the championship game. Okay, I'm with him.
Okay.
But regular
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
I think there's a chink now because I think Oklahoma could lose another game.
Yeah.
I think they'd still get to Arlington, and I think once, in a one-game scenario with Kyler Murray running that offense, and let's see what impact the defense has minus Mike Stoops.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that Ruffin McNeil is a defensive genius. But I think when you take the buffoon out of controlling it, the buffoonery, at least some of it, will stop, and I think they'll get better. Just more from subtraction than addition.
Yeah.
How about that? Subtracting Mike Stoops, no matter who you added in, subtracting Mike Stoops probably improves that defense.
So I know if I ask you what's the biggest surprise, if you looked at these standings after week 7, and number 9 Oklahoma State would be the biggest shock. A shock to a lot of people. But outside of that, is it TCU? Is it what the job Matt Rule's done at Baylor and as competitive as they've been? Through 7 weeks, what's the biggest surprise to you in the Big 12?
Did you say take out the Oklahoma State?
Yeah, take out the Oklahoma State, because I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I mean, here's a sub question to your question, and this kind of gets into math when you start using the word sub. Could you have imagined it after the Boise game, the way you and every other Oklahoma State fan felt after the Boise game ended? You just couldn't see this, could you?
No.
I could take a loss, but I couldn't take 3 losses to them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I could see it, but I'm not gonna say that it wasn't in the back of my mind a concern, because, boy, you go back and look. Not the Boise. The Boise game was the best game of the season. It was better than Missouri State and South Alabama, because you break down Missouri State and South Alabama, there were some concerns. To answer your question, though, biggest surprise, TCU.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta agree with
because
Robert on that.
I came away from the Big 12 media days in the summer, late July, thinking that Gary Patterson really felt good about his team, and typically when he does, they're pretty good. They thought Sean Robinson would be the answer, and I'm not saying he isn't, but he's not the answer when he's hurt. He's playing hurt right now, so TCU's falling apart, and they probably feel very similarly in Fort Worth to the way a lot of Oklahoma State fans feel in Stillwater.
Yeah, and you look at that game in Arlington, even though they lost, even after that game, they had Ohio State against the ropes.
Sure.
I mean, in the 4th quarter, there was a chance that they had that game, and they didn't get it done, but since then, it's just been a downhill slide. So I would never have guessed 1 through 10 right. Kansas at the bottom, absolutely. But outside of that, I never saw this coming. But this next segment, I have a lot of interesting questions.
I know we got to get out of here, but the one that doesn't surprise me at all is Iowa State. I thought they were a good team going into the year. Matt Campbell is a motivator, and they just needed to find the right combination at quarterback. With all the injuries, I wasn't sure they would, but they did, because they've got a good defense.
Yeah.
And the article you wrote for Go Pokes, you mentioned that is after the Boise State win, you were kind of sitting back going, I'm confident, but it was in the back of your mind because it's a good article. So go to Go Pokes and read Robert's article on that. We'll be right back on 101 Ocean Student Radio KXUI Sunlink Channel 112.
Fun is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cast prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio KXUI Sunlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 on after the Kansas State loss on the eve of the bye. Thank you that it's a bye week because it's getting tough times here in Stillwater. It's the only way I can put it. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Motors, as always, and the OSU insider Robert Allen. I've got a list of questions. You may not want to answer some of them, but they went up to Manhattan, and I could be in the minority here. I don't think they showed up. And as I said in the last segment, truly, I think that coaching-wise and that roster is a better team than Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Iowa State. Obviously didn't show it on the field. I truly believe those things, and maybe I'm just a homer and I can't get over that. Maybe I just can't accept it. But I can accept that Mike Gundy punted down 2 possessions with 8 minutes left on the fourth quarter. I can accept that they got beat 3 times in embarrassing fashion. Where's this team at mentally and physically? More mentally. Where are they at mentally?
Well, and welcome to the club. I'm a homer too, and you know, I mean, it's tough. It's tough being a homer because, and let me tell you the toughest part of it. The toughest part of it is when you're a homer, you have an affinity for the team. You like the players. You like the coaches. They're your guys, and I'm around them a lot, so that's part of it. But at the same time, you owe it to you and to anybody that reads what you write or listens to what you have to say to be realistic and give them facts and you know, opinions that make sense. So where is this team mentally? I think they've lost their focus. I think you've got probably a lack of leadership with the older players. I was worried about that going into the season. When you lose players, okay, the obvious ones are Mason Rudolph, James Washington. Those 2 guys were definitely leaders. On the defensive side of the ball, I think Trey Flowers and Chad Whitener, the linebacker. I mean, people forget about Chad Whitener. Was Chad the most athletic linebacker in the country? No. Was Chad a future NFL player? No. But Chad was a damn good football player that cared and was a leader and would help the guys around him play better. So you need guys like that. I don't think they have enough Chad Whiteners. And let me throw 2 guys on the offensive line. These guys, I mean, when you start thinking last year, oh, we missed this guy, we missed Mason, we missed James, we missed Marcel and his big catches. Sure you do. They're all good. But you know what? Tylan Wallace makes big catches. Dylan Stoner's made a bunch of big catches. Now that Jalen's gone, Landon Wolf catches a ball. You got Justice Hill. If somebody will block a little bit, I guarantee you Justice Hill's going to make yards. And while I thought Taylor had his worst game against Kansas State, Taylor Cornelius has I'm not going to say he's been as good as Mason Rudolph, but he's performed at a winning level when the guys around him perform at a winning level. When you get sacked 7 times and your offensive line gives up 16 tackles for losses, the fact you scored 42 against Iowa State's unbelievable, but you're still not going to win games when you're doing those kind of things. The 2 players you may miss the most, Zach Crabtree and Brad Lundblade. And ladies and gentlemen, Brad Lundblade is on the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad, which means he's at least one of the 58 best guys they got. And then Zach Crabtree was gonna make the squad at Los Angeles with the Chargers till he tore his knee up in the last game. And then what did? They didn't injury release him where they pay him a settlement and say go away. They said, we'll get you operated on. You're on IR. We're paying you a salary this year because we think you can come back and play. So those 2 guys are actually in the NFL. Now, that still didn't answer your question. We're going to get there. Your question, again, I think because of a lack of older leadership, you have kind of a vacuum where this team has gotten out of focus. And who are the first guys, I mean, besides the coaching staff, but inside the locker room, who are the first guys you look at to get yourself and get your team back on track? Seniors. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I think you've got some seniors that either their leadership skills aren't real strong, or maybe they've zoned out. Maybe this isn't as important to them as it should be. And that's, to me, that's what Mike Gundy and his staff have to work on more than anything this week. Not X's and O's, but getting guys to pick their chin up off the floor and say, you know what? These last 5 games matter. Getting to a bowl game matters. Beating Texas again and winning at homecoming matters. Because honestly, if it doesn't matter to the players, I don't care what you do. You're not going to win the game. You're not going to have a chance. So this week is not the bye week. It's the matters week. It's got to matter.
So I'll let you get to your question.
That was a little bit of a mini rant. But it was good. Okay.
Well, I'm on the verge of one myself. So I'm going to let Logan.
Here, hand me your papers and knock yourself
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go, and then I'll get into mine.
So, kind of piggybacking off what you said, what do the coaches have to do to get it through to these guys? Is it, I hate to say a quarterback change because Cornelius has one game and everyone jumps on him. He plays well and people jump on him on social media. Is it just, what has to change? Is it playing Drew Brown for a series or Spencer Sanders out there or whatever? What is it going to take?
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to go back to what I said before. If you can't get the guys that are playing the other positions, you know, the 2 senior offensive guards or the offensive tackle that's a redshirt junior, Tyron Johnson and at wide receiver, he's a senior. I'm addressing the seniors, and you got several on the defense as well. If you can't get those guys, and I'll tell you one that I have no reservations about. Justin Phillips plays like his hair's on fire, and what he's doing matters. If you can get all those other seniors and upper-class leaders to play like Justin Phillips, you got a chance. You got a big chance. Now, sometimes you got to spark a team. And, I mean, Mike Gundy could yell at the guys if he wanted to. I don't know that would work, and he has not advocated yelling at players. Yeah, let me cover it up. It's like having a bra strap on. Okay, anyway. But, yeah, I think, for a spark, I don't like the word changing quarterbacks, because that implies somebody's been demoted for good and somebody's been promoted for good. Well, you know what? I don't think Matt Campbell did that with Purdy. I think he just said, look, guys, we're going to throw the freshman out there and see what he can do. Let's give a guy an opportunity. Well, then when he took off with it, now, guess what? You changed quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But, you may need Cornelius again.
Yeah.
I would say this, if we're going to get into the changing quarterbacks deal, I would go straight to Spencer Sanders.
Yeah.
Just because,
get a young guy out there.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Would
brings a
you wait
different
2
energy.
weeks, though? Because,
Yeah.
let's face it. If they do get to a bowl game, the best thing that's going to come out of it's, a trip and maybe a cool T-shirt. That's the best thing that's going to come out of it and keeping that bowl streak alive, which matters. You said it last week. That matters.
I think that matters.
Yeah.
It matters in recruiting.
Yeah.
Matters in esteem for your school. That's what people mention. Hey, they've been to a bowl game 13 years in a row. If you drop off, now you got to start back from square one with your bowl streak.
Yeah.
So and I think again, is it a perception? It is, but gosh, life is perception anymore. I hate to admit, I think that's the case, but I think every game matters. You know what? If you wait another game, what'd you pass up? Another win over Texas and homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of come around. I got enthralled with this NCAA 4-game redshirt rule. Oh, wow. Well, if you're going to play the freshmen, hold off till the end. Throw some of them out there at the end. If your season's going bad or if you need some extra depth, wait till then and keep the red shirt. No, because, what's the win over Texas worth?
A lot.
Is it worth pulling a Spencer Sanders out of red shirt? His mom made it clear in the second half against Kansas State. She's not worried about him redshirting. Give my son a chance. And I'm not advocating moms to come out and
don't tweet.
That's not. But you know what, guys? That's the day and age we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was young, you would. I remember my kid telling me this, and I remember telling my parents this. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it looks like I might get hurt, do not come on that field. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, Tua Tagovailoa was in the tent on the sidelines at Alabama, and who was in the tent with him? Mom and Dad, both. We live in a different day and age. So you know what? If Mom wants to tweet, give my son a chance, you know what? I think she's got the right to.
If he goes in, and we won't know till he gets in there. Is he ready? Is he ready? Because, behind that offensive line, I don't want you behind that offensive line. I don't want this crew behind that offensive line. I sure don't want to be behind that offensive line. They only gave up 2 sacks. You could say the worst defensive line in the Big 12. They are atrocious. They're bad. I know he's mobile, but you can only run so far. You can only run 50 yards this way, and how many yards to the end zone? He's a freshman. I'm not saying he's not ready, but if he gets behind that offensive line, a big guy, the stature of, Taylor Cornelius, couldn't even think of his name for a second. It could. I'm not saying he's not ready, but he's a freshman behind a bad offensive line.
He can sneak around a little more than Taylor Cornelius can at 6'6", and he's probably a shade under 6'2". Talking about, and then Drew Brown can hide.
Yeah.
If you can find an offensive lineman to hide behind, he could hide. But I'm just saying this. I don't know.
Yeah.
The answer to the question is I don't know. But right now, I think there's probably a whole lot of Cowboy fans that want to see it. And maybe, like you implied, maybe it'll spark the team. I'd rather the team spark itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to do things like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into, I want to keep up this discussion because I think we're having a really good talk about it, but we got to get into the offense and defense after a quick break. You're watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI Suddenlink Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KQI, Summit Channel 112, live from Studio 318. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier, and as always, on every Wednesday, OSU insider Robert Allen. It's about that time, Robert. Mike Gundy told us, the team, the fans, everyone put their big boy pants on. Why does it take 4 and 3 to put my big boy pants on? You should have put your big boy pants on when you got beat by Alan Bowman and Texas Tech. You hadn't lost to them in near a decade. You go and you let Kansas State, who effectively said, we're going to run the ball. He couldn't throw a football into a lake. He's a bad quarterback. Skylar Thompson cannot throw. They told you what they were going to do, and you couldn't stop it. 4 and 3 is not big boy pants on. Losing to Texas Tech at home is big boy pants on. Don't wait for the bye week. I was ticked a long time ago. Everyone was mad. You should have been too. And I'm not saying you weren't. I don't buy into when you are Joe Cool at the podium. That's not the way you are. You're mad, you're frustrated, you're the head coach because all the responsibility falls on you. You're mad. But something's got to change with this. Be mad at a press conference. I'm not talking I'm a man on 40 rant, but be mad. Taylor Cornelius, run to the sideline and yell at somebody because what you're doing now isn't working, and it shouldn't have got losses to Texas Tech, Iowa State, K-State. That's not what it should take. You're 10 wins in a row. You were top 10 in wins nationally the last decade. This isn't what we are, and we shouldn't have let it got to 3 losses to those 3 teams. Bill Snyder and the Kansas State Wildcats, they almost lost to South Dakota. That should not have happened. You didn't show up on Saturday, and everyone saw it. On TV, watching here in Stillwater, you didn't show up. And I said, the radio show that I do with Chris Notch at halftime, I was sick to my stomach because you played their game. You got played for the 3rd time this season to the bottom of the Big 12. Rant over. You got 2 weeks, fix it. On to the offense.
Okay.
That was a good rant.
12 points. 12 points. By the way, they had a first half touchdown that was, I think, it was a bad offensive PI on Tylen Wallace. I really think that. They got that taken away. But 12 points to Kansas State. The jet sweep, the fade on the 2-point conversion. It's not Marcel Aitman out there. That was on their best corner.
Right.
12 points to Kansas State.
Yeah, not good. You know, the other thing, and I'm not, God, I hate to even say this because I don't really want to make excuses. You brought up the OPI, and I think former Oklahoma State quarterback Clint Shelf said it well. He tweeted, God, I've been paying too much attention to Twitter. That's what this shows me. But he tweeted out football history, worst offensive pass interference call ever. I don't know if it was the worst ever, but it was in the top 10 for sure. And then the other
one in Kansas that happened earlier.
And here's the other one that bothered me. Give Duke Shelley credit. It's a heck of an interception. Great way to, he kept his feet in, and tapped him at the back of the end zone. But he face guarded, never turned and played the ball. And the only reason he got the ball was he made contact with Tylen before the ball was there, and Tylen couldn't hang on to it, and it ended up in Shelley's lap. That's defensive pass interference, and how that flag can't be thrown. Now, did it make the difference in the game? No, I can't say that, but if Oklahoma State's up 14-0 or 14-3 at halftime, instead of 6-3, then can Kansas State really afford to come out and run the ball? Because if they do, they're telling their fans, look, we just want to get out of here. Yeah, the numbers, none of the numbers are good. Even the area where you were convincingly better than Kansas State, that's the passing offense, wasn't good. And then the turnovers, again, are bad. Like I said, I have not been upset with Taylor Cornelius' play at quarterback, have not felt that it was the major reason for the outcome in the game. Actually, take that back. I felt it was a major reason for the outcome in several of the games in a positive way. But, yeah, Saturday against Kansas State, he played right there with some of his teammates. And you kind of got into it a little bit in your oratory there. One of the problems with Taylor is he's not a very outspoken guy. He's accountable. Like I said last week, he takes accountability for every bad thing on the team and half of those that are plaguing the state and the nation. But the problem is he's got to ignite his offensive teammates, and that he hasn't shown that ability. He's not a real demonstrative guy personally. He's a quiet guy. So either he's got to find a way to do that, or Mike Gundy has to somewhat consider, do I get a guy in here that can, and we go back to the word we used here, spark the offense a little bit. Now we're taking a look at Texas. And the guy that sparks them apparently is Ellinger. He's out now. And they became, guys, I didn't see a whole lot of it, but they became a very pedestrian team offensively after Ellinger went out and Buechele jumped in.
Yeah. Jumping back to the Kansas State game, Justice Hill touches the ball, I think, 4 times.
I kind of want to talk Texas more, but that's okay. No, I'm just teasing.
Justice Hill touches the ball, I think, 4 times in the first 5 drives, only 11 carries in the entire game. It's not even that the Justice League isn't there. It seems like justice wasn't there on Saturday. Where is the Justice League? Something that we were all really high on going into the year.
You have to, when you're calling plays, and I know that I already sense over here that we've got an issue on play calling. You, especially when your offensive line is, I hate to use the word fragile. Yeah. They're fragile. In fact, broken might be better. If a team loads the box, you're kind of like beating your head against a wall. You got to find some way to open that up a little bit. The screen passes worked. Again, like I said, you drove the ball early in the game, and if you can stay in that rhythm, put some points on the board in the ways of touchdowns, now maybe you exert your will on Kansas State a little more. But instead, the mistakes, the officials' calls, whatever, kept the game close and allowed Kansas State to feel like, hey, we're in this, we're in that. And that's really what Kansas State needed after what they've been through this season. They had a player-only meeting in Manhattan last week to get fired up to play the game. Their university was worried that they were going to have the smallest crowd in that stadium since they expanded it, and it filled in. They actually had a pretty decent crowd. But I can tell you about 5 minutes before kick, I was believing them. It was pretty empty. So, again, some of the things played into it, but at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said about the seniors. It goes back to what I inferred about the entire team. How important is this to you? And how badly do you want to go and succeed? If you don't, you won't. But if you really want to fight and get this season back on track, what'd you say? You're convinced. I'm not totally there with you, Bubba. But you were convinced that this coaching staff and these players are better than Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Kansas State. I'm going to give you Kansas State and Texas Tech, maybe. I'm on the Iowa State bandwagon right now. So I think they're pretty good. But are they better than what they are right now? Absolutely. Yeah. But they've got to decide they're going to show it. Right now, the Kansas, the second half up in Manhattan, the sideline was flat. The team was flat. The defense, who had been holding up pretty good, just got bulldozed by an offensive line that's average, a pretty good back. Alex Barnes a good back.
Yeah.
But like you said, a one-dimensional offense that when you only have to stop the one dimension, you ought to be able to do that. Now, one of the things they did do when they did go back to pass, I thought was ingenious, is I think they told Skylar Thompson, Skylar, if you get somebody wide open, you can throw it. If not, wait until the last minute and find yourself an escape hatch and go. Because their pass rush is not as disciplined. That's part of this system. To get to get the sacks, to get aggressive, the defensive linemen don't have their responsibilities are not as strict. So he was able to find some big holes to use in scramble mode, and that kept some of their drives alive. So again, you can credit K-State some, but at the end of the day, I think you have to look at Oklahoma State, much like you said in your oratory, and say, look, you guys didn't want this. Obvious. Because you're better than what you showed at Kansas State. I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, 3 receivers got passes. You said you kind of acknowledged my reaction to the play calling. Some Oklahoma State fans are dead set that they could do better than Mike Yurcich. Mike Yurcich is one of the best in the country. #1 offense last year. And the calls that he's got, Mike Yurcich we're good with Mike Yurcich.
And I'm going to say, you call me an insider? Well, here's some insight for you, okay, people? Here's some insight. Mike Yurcich last year in the offseason turned down a job offer at Auburn. Turned it down for OC. Turned down the interview at Alabama. He got a call from Nick Saban, said, why don't you come down here and let's talk? And he said, Coach, don't need to.
Yeah, and
so you don't get offered an interview with Lord Saban, and you don't get a job offer at his rival unless you must be doing something right. So all the idiots, and I'm using the term idiots out there, that Mike Yurcich doesn't know anything, that's idiot. Now, is Mike Yurcich human? Does he have bad days at the play calling office? Yeah, he does some. And Saturday, hey, you know what? If you ask me Saturday, hey, Robert, call some plays, dial some stuff up. I think I'd have had a hard time. I think anybody would.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're talking about a broken offensive line, and it really gums the works up a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you for that, bud. Thank you. Somebody had to say it, because sometimes Oklahoma State fans, I mean, he had the #1, and I know he had Mason Rudolph. You're not going to follow that up.
Well, he recruited him, so give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at what Dunn's done, finding Washington.
There's people right now that want to just blast him for the quarterbacks between Rudolph and Spencer Sanders. Well, you know what? When you've got a Mason Rudolph, there's not a lot of 4- and 5-star quarterbacks knocking on your door saying, hey, I want to come and compete with him.
Yeah.
Most of them want to go somewhere where they can be anointed. And that again, we can go further. We can go into generational and societal issues. One is entitlement. Way too many people want to be entitled rather than go out and earn what they get. And that goes for most of the quarterbacks in college football that transfer all over the place till they find an open job.
Yeah, and I think that goes with the frustration level, like the jet sweep and stuff like that.
This show, by the way, is going better than I thought. It's like crazy now.
But
okay,
at the 1 yard, you have 2 chances, and they do the jet sweep, and a guy's in the backfield in 0.2 seconds and just takes Tylen Wallace out.
Well, there were 3 guys for K-State that lined up right where the jet sweep was supposed to go. Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say, you kind of had a mini rant, if you want to call it. I had my rant. We do it because we care. There we go. Because this team, we have high expectations of it, of what we've seen. That's why it's frustrating. Not because we don't think highly of the team or the players or the coaches. It's because we know that they're better than what they're showing. And sometimes you have to explain that, unfortunately. But we have to take a quick break before we come back and break down the defense and get into what you're going to do on this wonderful bye week here in the middle of October. We'll be right back on 101 OSU Student Radio to KXUY Sunlink Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They're also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Stillwater Medical Center now offers a convenient way to view your health information online. It's secure, easy, and free. Our hospital and clinic patient portals allow you to view results and reports, medications and allergies, track visit histories, view upcoming appointment information, and see your statements. To enroll, go to stillwatermedical.com and click on the patient portal link near the top right of the page. If you have questions, please feel free to call 405-533-6010.
One-on-one.
Welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI, Sunlink Channel 112. We are live from Studio 318. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Mosier, and on every Wednesday, OSU Insider Robert Allen. You just make us smarter, Robert.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
The defense. We're going to get into the defense, and then we'll talk about here how you're going to enjoy. I don't know if it's a weekend off, but it's a weekend of not doing a football game. We'll get into all that. But the defense gave up 421 total yards, 130 passing yards, 291 on the ground, and 23 first downs and 4 second-half touchdowns. Listen, Kansas State told them what they were going to do. They ran with Skylar Thompson, and Alex Barnes is out of Pittsburgh, Kansas, is really talented. I mean, we shouldn't take away from what Kansas State was able to do. But they were one-sided in what they were doing, and Oklahoma State couldn't stop it. The defensive line, the linebackers, and especially the secondary, and I know you kind of wrote about the technique and the young safeties and everything that they're struggling with. But with Jim Knowles being welcomed into the Big 12 with what he's given up, what's his mood going into this bye week?
Well, I mean, I think he's frustrated. I think he, as a coach, as a veteran coach, he's smart. He's not showing it. I mean, you know, borrow a Tom Hanks line from that baseball movie he was in with the women's baseball professionally. You know, where there's no crying in there's no crying in defense. Being a defensive coordinator, I mean, you know, you bow your neck and you get back to it. I think. The second half, like I said, it was really disappointing in that, you know, the offense was not able to sustain drives. The defense was out on the field a long time. You're not having a lot of injuries, but you've lost Darian Daniels, key member of the defensive line. You've had some injuries in the secondary. There are some guys out there that were playing with varying degrees of injuries. And when you're left out on the field, you've got the stats there. Time of possession was, I want to say it was 38, 39.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to the Texas Tech game.
Yeah, it was pretty. And so your defense is out there on the field a long time. No excuses. You still bow and and play and get after them. But Kansas State is a physical football team. They're not necessarily a good team, but Alex Barnes is a load to tackle, and their guys are comfortable run blocking, and they got after OSU. And it was, Mike Gundy said it in the locker room. It was disappointing you couldn't stop them. But you know what? The offense didn't help you out very much. So it was, sometimes you say it's a team win. That was a team loss. I do think that Jim Knowles, with some of the youth, some of the young players he's having to play, especially at safety, you see number 3, Kenneth Edson-Magruder there, who's normally been a really good performer, and Kenneth he struggled a little bit in the game against Kansas State. So, yeah, I think Jim Knowles is trying to adapt, and this probably, part of it has to do with learning a new defense. But like I said, I think he's trying to scale back, simplify things so that they can play freer and not be thinking about it. And we'll see what happens after the open week, because now you've got a chance to really try and correct some of your problems. I will say this, though, and I mean, I defended Mike Yursich. Now I'll defend Jim Knowles. This guy was hired by Mike Gundy for a reason. He's had one of the more aggressive, attacking, successful styles of that type of defense for a long time, and he was doing a lot of things at Duke that people really didn't expect Duke to do defensively. Now, are some of those guys smarter? Yeah, they're at Duke. But are they as good of football players? No, not necessarily. And that's why Jim Knowles came here. He came here to play and coach better players that have a chance to win more games and maybe have a chance to play for top honors. It's not working out that way right now, but I don't think you want to throw the guy out halfway into his first season as defensive coordinator. I think you want to give him a chance. And I will say this, we can say anything we want here. We all like to think we know a whole lot about football. I like to think I know a whole lot about football. But at the end of the day, yeah, Mike Gundy, is he having kind of that Tom Landry plastic face going? That dates me. Yeah, he's not showing the emotion, because in his eyes, if he gets to ranting and raving, that shows his team that, it's time to panic. He's not a panic guy. Do I think they'll do their very best to fix this? Yes, I do. But is it going to get better? That's not guaranteed, because at the end of the day, Mike Gundy, Jim Knowles, Mike Yursich can do all the things good coaches do. And if the players don't decide, like I said earlier, it's important to them and they're going to bust their butts to these last 5 games to improve and win some football games, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the players have to do the work to make it
this
successful.
This is a hard game to play.
Yeah.
This isn't tennis, and I mean, I'm not making fun of tennis or golf especially when you're playing in the trenches in the offensive defensive line. They say hands to the face. They call penalties for that. Let me tell you something, man. You're getting hands to the stomach, hands to the chest. You get beat up every play. It's a little bit of a fist fight in there. And if you're a running back, you're going to get hit, and you don't even get to fight back when you're a running back. And if you're a defensive player in the back end, you get to hit, but guess what? It hurts too when you hit somebody, even if they're not hitting back. Yeah. So, again, I'm not trying to go. That's rudimentary. Oh, yeah, Robert, put your big boy pants on. It's football.
Put them on, Robert.
That's true.
That's what you got to do.
But I'm just saying, if this was easy, everybody'd be out there doing it, because it's fun to be out there in front of all those people with the lights on. And, Saturday next Saturday, Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler and ABC's cameras will be on Stillwater and on that game. Wouldn't everybody love to be the quarterback or the receiver or even an offensive line? Heck yeah, sign me up. Except you know what? It's hard.
Yeah. And that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to kind of get your opinion on the secondary, because they're young. Have you seen any improvement from them so far?
In
this
individuals,
season?
not as a group.
Yeah.
I mean, Rodarius. He'll play play the pass real well one play, not so much the next. I'll tell you what, and I had a friend of mine that's from Stillwater that was at the game, text me the next day and he said, how long have Colby Peel and Jarek Bernard been starting? I think Jarek may have 3 starts. Colby's got 2. And he goes, wow, 2 freshmen at safety, true freshmen. I said, yeah, that'll make a difference. He goes, not complaining though, because those guys are going to be really good. Now, are they making mistakes? Do their eyes get in the wrong place? Do they lose track and lose focus right now? Some, sure. But he's right. I mean, give them another year. Both those guys physically have the God-given gifts to be good players. It's important to them. You can watch. When they make a mistake, you can tell that it hurts them down here. I mean, God, man, I hurt my team, you know. It's those guys that walk off the field after missing a block or missing a tackle. They walk off and, yeah, you know. I mean, those are the guys you got to eliminate, or you got to get them back on track. Those freshmen, you know, you asked about the secondary. I see them getting better every week, and they're fired up to go out there and get better the next practice.
And that's probably not a lot of people. Everyone thinks quarterback, you got to be really intelligent to play quarterback and be a savvy quarterback. Safety's the quarterback of the defense. Even the most veteran in the NFL, they get beat sometimes and they get confused. They're not only freshmen, they're playing in a new defense that's being installed in a confusing defense at that. So, I mean, like you said, they're for what it is, they're going to be really good at their time. So, I mean, it is frustrating, but you have to remember, they are freshmen in a 4-2-5 defense.
And Malcolm Rodriguez played mainly special teams last year. And he's the other guy that's out there a bunch, along with Kenneth Edison Magruder. And the one thing I admire about Malcolm is that son of a gun will tackle all night long.
He flies.
I mean, he will put his nose into that ball carrier, not even think about it. I love watching Justin Phillips. He's a senior, like I said. He's a guy that all the seniors should copy. Justin Phillips is I have no reservations that he's going to go out against Texas and play his butt off. If he can get all those other seniors around him to do the same thing, well, that'd be a major help in trying to win a football game over the Longhorns.
So you said last week you don't want to lose this K-State game because you're going to have to sit on it for 2 weeks. But now, Kirk Herbstreit, the primetime game is coming here to Stillwater. Homecoming is going to be here. There's a lot of stuff going on. You can reflect on it, but like we've been doing the last show, this isn't fun. This isn't fun to talk about, think about. Texas can't win a game and they're arrogant. That's just the state of, Texas football. Texas has been back 100 times and they haven't been back yet. They may be back now, but you hear all the talk, you see all the attention they're getting. It's homecoming prime time. It's time to prove not only to Kirk Herbstreit and the national guys, this is a big moment. I'm almost glad that they're coming in that night game. So do you think Gundy's kind of preaching that going in? We got 2 weeks for our biggest game of the season. This is almost make or break. Everyone's going to be watching.
I don't know that it's Mike Gundy's style to tell his team, hey, we can make a big statement. We're going to be on big time TV. This program's been on big time TV.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Now, within the coaching staff, this is huge because right now there's a lot of negative PR, negative vibes coming off OSU football. There is any team when you've lost 3 of your last 4 games. You can change that message with a win over Texas. I don't know that you pour that on your players. I think what you tell your players, and this is just honesty, guys, don't want to hurt your feelings. They ain't coming here because of you. They're coming here because they were looking for a night they could get Texas on and celebrate the Texas is back message. And so they wanted to put Texas on prime time. There weren't a lot of games this week or for next week. Alabama's off, LSU's off, setting up their battle. Ohio State has somebody meek and mild. I think the big game, CBS has Florida and Georgia and Jacksonville. But that's an afternoon game on CBS. So this worked into the schedule, but I think I'd be honest if I were Mike Gundy and say, guys, it's a great opportunity for you. All your friends and family can see you play. It's going to be on national TV. But they ain't coming here for you. They're coming for Texas. and just see how that makes your team feel. I mean, that would make me want to, really? I'm going to spoil the Texas coming out party. Let's go kick their butt. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, football players understand that, I think, that language.
It is a big moment for you, Logan. How big, when you heard they were coming, obviously everyone
Yeah.
kind of agrees with Robert. They're coming for Texas, and we can accept that. But do you think it's a big moment for this? I know, like Robert said, we've had these games here. It's not, I mean, College Game Day was here last year. We've been on national TV. But for where the program's at now, for you, do you think that's a big moment to send a message?
Yeah, for this season, I definitely think it's probably the biggest moment we'll have all season. This is, like you said, prime time, and it's perfect billboard material. They're not here for you. They're here for Texas. This has got to be the game. We keep talking about it. You got to spark them. These guys have to get their spark in this game.
I don't know, it was 2015 or 13 or what year it was. They came here one time for a late season game with Baylor. And Baylor was unbeaten.
Yeah.
They weren't when they left.
That happened with TCU one time,
Yeah.
too. I believe the same year. But really quickly, 30 seconds, you going to enjoy your weekend off?
Got the grandson.
Oh.
More work than you usually do.
Yeah,
Right?
no, that's but it'd be fun. And he wants to be a coach for Halloween, poor kid.
Well, we can't lose this weekend, so we're going to enjoy the weekend off. We'll be back next week to discuss Texas. Thank you for watching 101 on Ulster Student Radio, KCY, Suddenlink Channel 112.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided,
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cast prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.